So what is a high-tech pet door? On this episode of Tough Guys DIY, we're going to tell you all about it. So what is a high-tech pet door? Well, in short, it's a powered pet door that allows you to sync it up with little collars so that when your dog needs to go outside, they just get the sensor near the door and they're able to go in and out. Now this door in particular is their Wi-Fi powered pet door, meaning it can connect to my Wi-Fi and to an app on your phone. But they also make some that just plug in so you don't have to deal with the Wi-Fi part. They offer a whole range of different types of doors, different sizes, and different functions, so you can definitely find something that'll suit your needs. Now in this video, we're going to be covering two main things. One is the setup for our particular situation, which may or may not align with yours, so feel free to skip through that. And the second is going to be operationally how to get this thing going and how does it actually work. Hopefully, over the course of the video, it'll help you kind of understand what this has to offer and if it's a right fit for you. So this is Hank. He's our bigger dog. He's a hound dog and a mix with something else. I don't actually know. Hank, what do you think about the new dog door? He really likes it, trust me. But yeah, so for mid-sized dogs or large dogs like Hank, we ended up doing the large size. So I kind of wanted you to see how big he was and maybe it'll help you in making your decision. So the pet doors do work with smaller dogs too, like Ruka here. She's a Jack Russell. We don't have our yard set up yet, so if I let her out, she's just going to be chasing the chickens all over the yard, but I wanted to show you that they do make the sensors for smaller dogs as well. All right, here's our setup outside. So this insert would actually go on top of your exterior setup. It would have this little lip where it could cover and it would screw in. Now in our case, because it's a metal building, and we have this extra large wall cavity, I had the guys build a custom trim for me where this piece can just fit inside. And when it does that, it'll actually connect to the tunnel, the piece that goes through. And so let me show you that next. Okay, so here's what those tunnel pieces look like. There's one piece that is it's a little less in size, and then this part kind of bumps up. And that's actually so these things can stack together. For this assembly, we're going to be using two of these. So one of them is going to fit inside the other, which is going to fill the entire wall cavity that we need to fill. So you can see here is an example of how that piece would fit on, and you could screw it to your exterior wall. In our case though, like I said, this is going to be mounted inside of this opening. If you're wondering why I was standing on a piece of plywood, it's because everything out here in this yard area behind the house still holds a lot of water. We haven't done final landscaping yet, so the plywood's for that. It's not a part of the install. All right, the one we showed you was already assembled, but this is what it looks like when it's in the box. And like I said, we need to have two of these. So let me show you how you put these things together. Here's the little Allen wrench and the little tiny connectors. Of course, they give you some assembly instructions. Here is the bag of corner connectors. You get 2 per corner, and it connects all the sides together. And then of course you have 4 pieces. Now, quick note, these are actually extremely sharp. So I'm just gonna show the assembly of one corner because you're basically repeating the steps. So as you can see, it's kind of shaped like a Z. So basically this is what you're going for. And then those little adapters, let me show you how they fit in there to hold everything together. So here's one of those pieces. Notice it has the screw holes. And then guess what? You slide these into the other piece, and now you have a supported miter joint, and then those little screws go in here, and those are locking screws so that it holds this to the frame pieces. Now once you get it started, it goes pretty easy. I didn't over wrench mine. I just get it a little bit tight. It locks that piece in place so it can't slide out of that side, and you'll need to put them on the top side and the bottom side of each corner for all of the supports. All right, so I have the second frame assembled, and just to verify, the thickness is 5.5 inches on this. Now, I need these two pieces to overlap each other because I need about 11 inches to span the interior gap, so the entire thickness of that exterior wall. And here, this shows just the metal side of the house, so the metal frame is this deep, and then we actually still have a 2x4 in there where the plastic is covering up. So we have this distance plus the 2x4 to fill around the perimeter of this opening. So here was the idea. We take these two sections, and we fit them onto each other. That's what we're going to do for the full install. All right, now that we're wrapped up with the outside, we can head to the inside. You can see here we have a rough opening, and ignore this little patch on the wall. It was where we thought we could direct wire, but we weren't able to direct wire. So anyways, we're going to be plugging it into this plug here where the washer plugs in, and run the cord down and plug it in. This is the unit not yet installed, so you can see how it will look. It mounts into the hole just above the baseboard, and then it will attach to the wall with some screws. Now we need to get this plastic taken out of the opening, which we basically just had in there as a preventative measure. And you can see here how that stacked tunnel system will fit in the opening to span the full width. And here it is assembled and attached to the back side of the actual unit. But I don't have anything secured right now. I don't have any caulking or sealant in there, which we're going to be adding some silicone later before we install it into the opening so it's nice and waterproofed. So this is some GE 100% silicone caulking, and you can use it for exterior or interior use. This is really good stuff, and I just use it around the perimeter edge of the entire tunnel as I seat each piece together so that it gets a nice waterproof seal. There might be other ways you could do this and still get a waterproof seal, but for us, this worked out pretty well. Basically, the goal there is just to make sure I don't have water coming in when the dogs are going in and out in the rain. Now on the outside, I needed to shim up the bottom because that front trim piece, the lip actually sits on the lip that the middle guys left for me, creating about a 3/4 inch gap at the bottom. So I ended up putting a piece of wood at the bottom to close that gap in so that everything would sit nice and flush. This was some baseboard that we had left over and it was already primed. So I just used that in the opening. Now on the inside, we use these drywall anchor screws because on one side I got lucky and I had studs on the left, but on the right side I did not have a stud there. So these actually worked really well because I didn't have to mess with any sort of anchors that went in the wall. So we just screwed those into the pre-made holes already in the frame, and that was pretty easy. Hopefully that was as satisfying for you to hear. Installing these little covers is pretty easy. They just clip in place. There are covers for the interior and the exterior side, so make sure that you install these over all the fasteners. This right here comes off and allows you to install a extra battery. So this battery backup can install in here so that if you lose power, this thing will be charged and it can still operate. So the little nodes are covered with plastic pieces. You need to take those off. And then right here and right here are the little teeth where this thing plugs in. So when I plugged that in, a couple lights came on over here, one telling me that the battery is low. So let's put the cover back on and get it plugged in. We have a power supply and it plugs in to the side down here at the bottom. And we're going to use this plug right here. And then the plug itself plugs down here at the very bottom. Now up here at the top, it does say that we have AC power now, and the battery says okay. It's probably going to need to charge up for a while, I'm assuming. And I think I'm going to get some channel to hide the cord against the wall. Just make the whole thing look a little bit cleaner. If you could direct wire it, I would definitely do that. Okay, now that we have everything powered up, let's go over some basic functionality. So this is the unit on the wall, all the caps are in, the power is plugged in, and the power is on. So you have a little control area up here at the top. The off and on button just turns it off and on, pretty straightforward. So you can just shut the whole thing off if you need to. There's a manual open button, which you can tap that and it will open the door. It stays open, I think, for about 5 seconds, give or take. And then it shuts on its own after you press the open button. So that's how that function works. And then down here, you can turn off or on the inside and outside sensors. By default, both of them are going to be turned on so that they operate whether the dog is inside or outside. And then these little knobs here, you can adjust the range on how it will pick up those sensors that are on the collar. So if you have a dog that's maybe running really fast all the time, you might want to raise the inside sensor to be higher or vice versa so that the dog can go in and out. But yeah, that's the basic overview of how these buttons work and how this thing functions. Now let's dive into the collars and the sensors. So they do have multiple sizes in these new collars. They come in a bunch of different colors and they have nice, clicky, secure plastic latches on them. And you can adjust the sizes quite a bit on these. We ended up getting two different ones because we have the smaller dog, although that one is still a little bit too big for her. The MS5 sensor is their main sensor that would hook onto the other collars. Now, in order to do that, you just pull out the little battery tab and it will activate, or you can use a screwdriver to replace batteries later on. You definitely want to get these batteries from High Tech Pet. Make sure you do that. Here's how that mounting adapter looks, by the way, when it's on the collar. That's how you have to put it in there. And then, yeah, here's Hank giving this thing a test run. And overall, it is just super easy to use. We haven't had any issues with it so far at all, other than that Ruka really wants to go out there and use it on her own. But yeah, I hope you guys will check out High Tech Pet and all they have to offer, especially if you need a solution like this for your home. And I hope you'll come hang out with us on social media at Tough Guys DIY everywhere. And I'll see you guys in the next video.